We grade Auburn's transfer portal haul on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Yes, indeed. Good morning to the Auburn family. What's up to my up-tempo gang? Y'all know the deal. Sunday morning, a little late, a couple minutes late here, Nick. As you know, I had a few things to attend to. We're here, 9:10. Here we are. Listen, I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I went to put gas in my car this morning, and my gas cap broke off in my car. Didn't get to get my coffee. We're off to a little bit of a rough start, but we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I'm here with you guys now. My guy, Nick, going to calm me down. We're gonna be all right, man. Y'all come in here, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We are passing out grades for the transfer portal haul today. My guy Nick, Senior Bowl tomorrow. How we doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Can't complain. How about yourself, man? How about yourself?
You know, but we're gonna be all right.
Exactly. That's it. That's what it is. We'll be all right. We gonna be all right.
Very interesting. Yes, for sure. We're very interesting start to the morning. Nothing I have tried to do works. Let's see if we can get this live show to work today, man. I see you guys filing in here in the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel today. My guy Rodney is in here. He says, good morning, Dustin and Nick from the water cooler. Y'all know the deal, Bruton, Alabama, Black Magic Racing. Our guy Huggy is in here, as he always is. My dude, Tim, the tool man, Taylor. Karen says, War Eagle, can't believe I'm actually awake on a Sunday morning to catch the live. We're glad you're with us, Karen. Thank you for being here. Yes, you normally catch us on the replay, but she is up and at 'em this morning. I will discuss this, Alex. I actually have been asked by a lot of people to discuss this. I'll save that towards the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and get started. Nick, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. And I know that there could still be a few additions left, but I felt like this was we're pretty much done, right? Again, there could be a few additions here or there, but for the most part, I feel like we kind of know what we're looking at now in terms of the roster and everything like that. So I knew my dad was going to call me back as soon as I went live. I literally could have put money on it. Called him an hour ago. I said, the moment I hit go live, he'll call me. So let's go ahead and start with the offense. We both have the same grade. Me and Nick did not discuss this before. As soon as he came into the thing, I asked him what his grade was. He has no idea what mine is. We both come up with a B- on offense. Nick, I'm going to let you go first, brother. Why a B- for the offensive portal haul for Auburn?
Well, here's the B- because when you look at what Auburn did in the portal on the offensive side of the ball, well, let's go back a little bit. When you look at what Auburn looked like last year on the offensive side of the ball, man, it looked horrible. It looked horrible. Production-wise, what Auburn brought in is better than what Auburn kind of lost in the production. There was a post that was going around, and was looking at the post, and it was basically telling us like where did Auburn lose production at? And when you looked at it, most of the production that we lost was in one particular room on the defensive side of the ball. That's where we lost production at. But to answer your question, you look at what Auburn has done, where we all have been asking questions about the offensive line. You look at, a Joseph Simmons, you look at a Stan Ramil, you look at a Jake Lyer, you look at a Cole Best and a Cole Skinner, you look at a Jacob Strand, a TJ Hendrick, Kenneth McManus, a Peric Plass. You look at those guys, and that is a lot of bodies that you brought in. A lot of those guys played a lot of college football as well, too. But the thing about the offensive line is it takes a little time for that to gel as well. It takes time for those guys to get together and honestly figure out what they would be like and what it would and excuse me, and what they would do. When you look at the wide receiver room, I think production wise in the wide receiver room, you look at what Auburn brought in, a lot of those guys. I don't think we're going to drop off anywhere when it comes to that part of when it comes to that. I think those guys have been in the system with the Keyshawn Singleton, Jeremiah Coger. You look at a Corey Pettigrew, or you look at a Chaz Nimrod. You look at those guys that were in that room. Some of those guys that were with Golish at USF last year, and they kind of know the system. They know exactly what is expected within this offensive system. So you look at those guys and you say, man, are we losing much? Or I mean, production wise, do we have guys that are going to come in and be able to produce at the same level? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think that they should not be able to. You look at the running back room. You go out and you go get a Bryson Washington. You go get a Nakai Davenport. Then you add a Tay Meadows to it, and you talk about how Auburn is going to be, how running the ball is going to be a non-negotiable for Auburn on the offensive side of the ball, is what Joel Gordon said. You look at that, and you add that with, a Omar Maps, and you add that with a Jeremiah Cobb who's already in the room. And when you look at and you see the amount of running backs that you're adding, Auburn, if you look at last year, Auburn had to go to their fifth, sixth string running back because you lost guys that were supposed to be in the rotation. So adding those guys in the room, man, I think it's important. Tight end room, man. With Coach Golders being a tight end coach, being a position tight end coach, man, going out getting a lot of guys in this room. I'm excited about Arliss Boardingham. He was at Florida. I saw some of his tape at Florida. It was encouraging to see. Encouraging to see, man. You look at Jonathan Eccles, you look at Xavier Newsome, Jake Johnson. Then, of course, you brought in Hunter Henry, who was a quarterback at ULM last year. He's going to be a tight end this year. I think you're about to see a lot of production out of this tight end room, and you're about to see the tight end be a very focal part of this offense. So exciting there. Then, of course, man, you look at the quarterback room, which is headlined by Byron Brown. And after that, you got a lot of young guys who haven't played a lot of football, So worst case scenario, what happens if Byron Brown goes down? Where do we go from there? But he is a very, very big piece to this offense and a very, very big piece to that quarterback room. I think Auburn did really good on the offensive side of the ball, bringing in enough bodies, having a mixture of guys that have played a lot of college football, having some guys that still have some years of experience, and having some proven production in certain areas of the offense to get fans excited about. So I look at it, and overall, because of the bodies, because of the mixture of snaps and experience and youth, I have to give them a B-. That's where I'm gonna have to be at. That's the reason why I gave them a B-.
Okay, so you just, like, on the offensive line, you just have some questions about experience?
Yeah, I have. On the offensive line, I just have questions. I'm always have questions about offensive line every year, except for if it's an offensive line that has been together the previous year before, or even if it's an offensive line that was together the previous year and you're replacing one person, that's different. You can kind of have a little bit more of an idea, but you're replacing everybody on the offensive line this year. So how long will it take for those guys to gel? It's the biggest question. And as we all know, if you want to win in football, not just the SEC, not just the Big Ten, but anywhere, you got to be able to win in the trenches. So that's the reason that's my biggest concern right there, is waiting to see how those guys gel together.
Yeah, I'm with you. Originally I had a C on this, but I thought about it some more, and I'm like, man, I love the quarterback. So I had to go up a little bit higher because I go back to previous off seasons. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I have not liked Auburn's plan at quarterback. I was open to seeing what Peyton Thorne had and what the previous coaching staff could do with him, but our guy Ike does the film breakdowns, and he doesn't like lean one way or the other with it. He just does an analytical breakdown of what he sees. And I watched all the Peyton Thorne stuff, and I was like, I just don't know, man. And then I'm bringing him back. I definitely wasn't in favor of. And then I've made my feelings known about Jackson Arnold. So I'm very optimistic. I believe in Byron Brown. I know that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. So for that reason alone, I can't go any lower than a B. When we look at receivers, they're talented. So don't hear what I'm saying here and say that they're not talented. I love Singleton, love Koger, love Christian Neptune. And I think that Bryce Kane is set to have a nice year. I love some of the young guys with the Smith brothers and Sam Turner. And also, I like what that room's going to be, and even more so. Even though I would say just as far in terms of just pure talent, if we were like rating these guys in a video game,
Yeah.
are they as talented as Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and all that? Like, no. But one, they're still really talented, right? So like, I don't think it's that big of a drop off. And like, I still think Keyshawn Singleton's like a really talented football player that can play in the NFL. And then you got like young guys down there like Coger, who I need to see a little bit more before I say something like that. But like the tape they do have in FBS football is impressive. So I would say a little tick down maybe in terms of just raw talent in that wide receiver room. But then when you have the conversation you were just talking about production and all of that, like, and I think the scheme is going to be better. Yep. So I think all that'll kind of work itself out.
Yep.
Running back room, you definitely upgraded.
Yes.
You definitely upgraded, bro. Yes. Like the pickup of Washington. The only reason I haven't gassed that up more is because I've been waiting to see what his offensive line was going to look like. I've been waiting to see what the rest of the offense is going to look like. And then, I mean, just some of the guys they brought in, who was the kid from Troy? Like some of these guys that they brought in, it's like, man, well, there's a room here. Davenport, like, you've got bodies in this room. You still have Alvin Henderson over there. Omar Mapson was we had to turn to him, like you said. You had to turn to him, a kid that was supposed to be a senior in high school last year, and he didn't look out of his element. He didn't light the world on fire, but he certainly looked like he was prepared and ready, and he had a nice career ahead of him. So I love the running back room. Tight end.
Yes.
Big upgrade.
Very.
Big upgrade. Wasn't going to be too hard to upgrade the tight end.
Exactly.
You just had to get some new guys, really. But still, man, a lot of experienced guys in there. And me and you did like a live show probably about a month ago now, where we talked about if Alex Golis was going to work out, why that would be the case. And we talked a lot about, look at the uptick in the tight end production.
Yes.
Everywhere that he's gone. It's been quick, it's been immediate, and it's really took off. So again, I like the guys you brought in there, and the Johnson kid, the brother of former Buccaneer Super Bowl quarterback winner, Brad Johnson, the son of Brad Johnson. So fired up to have him in there, man. Kid that's played a lot of football. Like you said, the kid that coming in from Bowling Green that originally started off at Florida, his tape is super impressive. So especially at his time at Florida. So I think you got talent in that room as well. And I think that you have a coaching staff that can develop tight end and knows how to implement those. Now, the reason why this is not an A or a B plus or anything like that is a lot of the same stuff that Nick said. Offensive line.
Yeah.
And I want to preface this by saying, listen, I'm not making predictions. This offensive line might be the best unit on the team.
Exactly.
Sitting there at SEC Media Days last year, we thought like, hey, man, Xavier Chaplin coming in, and you already got Connor Lew anchoring that middle. You know, you got Jeremiah Wright, Too Tall. We know all these guys. And like, we felt like we had a nice returning base, nice core. And you went and added the top tackles in the portal in Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy. Ultimately, we saw what it was. It didn't work out. I think a lot of that is schematic, but also you can look at the offensive line coach and talk about lack of development and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is you don't really know. Like we're not going to know about this unit until a couple games into the season. There's just no way to know.
Very true.
Here's where I'm a little bit concerned. One, a lot of these cats got injury issues. A lot of these dudes, Strand, was it Lair? Am I saying that right, from Stanford? Lair, however you say it. The kid, the player from Stanford, and Ramil, all have serious injury concerns and have missed a lot of time due to injury. So, okay. Also, let's not act like they didn't miss on a lot of the guys they wanted. Like, they wanted the kid from Maryland. They didn't get him. They wanted the kid from Ohio State. They didn't get him. They just wanted the kid from Miami, and he went to Ole Miss. So there was a reason. And that one just happened this weekend. That happened yesterday or the day before, which tells me that they were still trying to add pieces.
Yeah, a guard at least.
Yeah, so like I don't know. Yeah, it was told me they still felt like they needed, because he had played in every game, I believe, for Miami this year. He played in all 16 games for Miami. So he was a person that had played a lot of football And again, like, take my feelings on a particular player out. Just look at the actions the coaching staff took.
Mm-hmm.
They were still trying to add him as of 2 days ago. So that tells me they felt like they still needed to add a starting caliber interior lineman to that room. And as we sit here today, like, they haven't added anything else behind that, right? So like it kind of makes me feel like they felt like they weren't done, or at least they still needed more.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I don't want to be negative here. It's just more like, you definitely, on like the top guys that they were going after, I don't feel like they got much of any of them. Now I don't have their board in front of me. Maybe they have Stanton Ramil like top of the board, right? But I can go through some guys here on that offensive line that they tried to add and they didn't get. And so that tells me something. And I just, as I look at the roster today, and I could be surprised, man. We could be surprised. I don't know if there is an SEC caliber starting offensive line, an entire line. There might be some pieces, but I just don't know. I'm damn sure worried about the 2 deep. A couple guys get hurt. Like, where do we turn to? And then like, again, and this is, we could revisit this at the end of the season and we could all be, like, man, we were really wrong about that. And it turns out the receivers were the problem in the offensive line. Like, you just don't know. But as we sit here today with the data that we have in front of us, I see injury concerns. I see that you missed on a lot of the guys that you wanted to go add. And I would like to know kind of why that was. And like, here's the thing too, that I'm not like waving a red flag, but I just want to note here. In our member game day group chat, people were asking about, was it Kinsler, the kid that from Miami, something like that. But the offensive lineman at Auburn was trying to, he's big, 6'6", 340, played a lot of football for Miami. Whenever he left Auburn, he had a bunch of good quotes, and he went to Ole Miss. Okay, now flash forward, we'll talk about D-line in a second. But remember the big defensive lineman from North Carolina?
Yeah, with the
whenever he was going to Oregon, I put in the game day group chat, I said, hey guys, I don't have any intel, like actual intel on this. But if he's going to Oregon, I predict that he's going to end up enrolling at Oregon. And some of the members said, like, why, kind of what you're thinking there. And I said, listen, right from the small sample size we have right here, Oregon, the Ole Misses, the LSUs, like, if Auburn gets into these battles with those kind of schools for these trench players, I don't know if it's unwilling to match a payday or what. But I just don't feel comfortable right now when Auburn is in a battle with schools that are known to drop a bag. Like, it's no secret right now. Ole Miss is dropping bags. It's no secret Oregon's dropping bags.
Yeah.
So if I hear that it's Auburn and or a team that is dropping bags, particularly for interior, like for line of scrimmage players, O-line and D-line, I kind of lean towards a prediction of the team that's dropping the bag. And so all of that just kind of leads me to be like, I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive line. I'm not sure if I 100% see the vision, but again, this is January 25th, and I could be a whole lot of wrong, and hopefully this staff is much better at evals and scheme and all that kind of stuff than the previous staff. But in terms of just names and bodies and all that kind of stuff, and looking at production, I'm concerned about injury history up front, and I'm concerned that they missed on a lot of guys that they wanted to go get. Like, we're just going to be honest about that. So that's kind of why I've arrived at the B-. I'm not saying the O-line is going to be a disaster, but I have a lot of question marks about it moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, no, those are valid, especially with the injury concern. Especially when we talk about Stan Ramil. Stan Ramil, I think he only played in, like, if I'm not mistaken, 14 games in the past 2 seasons or something of that nature. Because this past season he played in the first 5 and he had to sit out the rest because of a knee injury, and things of that nature. But when you look at what they brought in a lot of guys that can kind of play across the line, like TJ Hendrick. TJ Hendrick can play guard or offensive tackle. you could potentially put Liar at offensive tackle or guard as well. So you got a lot of guys that can play in a lot of different positions. But then when you look at the interior part, you look at the two Coles. I'm gonna keep calling them two Coles, Cole Best and Cole Skinner. Between those two guys, man, you got guys that have played, almost, over 2,000, 2,500 snaps in college football. So, when I look at who they brought in, I think on the offensive line, they brought in a very good mixture of guys that have played football, that have production, and guys that have young potential that can be developed, and they have years of eligibility left behind them. I think Jack Liar is the only grad transfer on this line, if I'm not mistaken, or something of that nature. We know after this season he won't be back.
Right.
But you got a lot of guys. You got a lot of guys there. Then of course
that way too. I think Strain's only got 1 year left.
Strain's that way too. My bad, from Oregon State. Yeah, you're correct. You're right. He is. But then when you look at what they got behind him, you still got a Ty Buster there, man. That's still back there as well. Yeah. So you got a lot of guys that you heard a lot about in the previous year, in the previous offseason, about having great motors, great attitudes. They had the potential to be great players at Auburn and things stuff like that. The only reason why I'm at a B- is literally because I think everywhere else in the skill position part, you either upgraded or you got similar production to what you had last year.
Yeah.
I think everywhere, every team has to have great offensive line play in order to be able to win football games. A lot of scrimmages is just important in college football. In football, period, a lot of scrimmage is important, even in Pee Wee football to a degree. But the thing is, man, like you mentioned depth. That is something that I look at. You brought in, I think they have 17 bodies or 18 bodies in that room right now, something like that. But how many of those bodies, when you start to look at them, and you start to bring in all of the other characteristics or the other consequences of it, of like, this guy has injury problems, this guy is young, we have to develop him, this guy has this, and things of this right here. How does this fit into what Auburn wants to do moving forward? And especially at the tempo that this offense is going to play at as well. So you're starting to look at guys that you're starting to look at Auburn bringing guys that are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". They would like for them to be under 325 pounds because you want them to be in shape. You want them to be able to have that stamina, be able to keep up with the offense at the tempo that they want to play at. You want them to be able to pin and pull. You want them to be able to duo. You want them to be able to gap scheme, gap scheme, zones, whatever kind of run scheme they want. You want them to be able to do all of that because at the speed of that they're going to be playing at in this offense. So it will look a little different than what some of the offensive linemen that were being recruited in the past, because you had some heavier guys, 330 and up sometimes, heavier guys playing. A lot of these guys are going to be pretty lean, pretty athletic looking type guys playing. And, it's nothing against them, because I think the staff has done a really good job on the offensive side of the ball trying to get guys in. But anytime, as I stated before, you have a whole new offensive line that you're about to start in the next season, I'm still gonna have to wait at least 3 to 4 games to see exactly how they gel together before I can understand exactly what that team is gonna look like for the rest of the year. My notion is, whatever team you are by week 4 or 5 of the season, what you're gonna be for the remainder of the year. Yeah. So this part right here, where you literally are going to have 5 new guys starting on this team in the offensive line starting, is going to be pretty important for Auburn moving forward. I think Kel Ellis, I don't even know if Kel Ellis is going to start because you brought in Cole. You brought in Cole Bench and Cole Skinner. So,
could he move around to guard maybe?
Yeah, could he? Could he? But the thing is, like, if you're projecting what this team and what this room is going to look like, center, 2 guards, 2 tackles are all going to be brand new.
Yeah,
and they've never played together. So, yeah, that is the only drawback that I have on it. I think they did a good job of bringing in bodies and getting guys that were available to get, especially with the reports of how they're structuring contracts incentive wise now, and not putting a lot of upfront money to guys, and having a lot of incentive based contracts, and getting guys that want to be at Auburn as well too. So I'm cool on it, but I just gotta see how these guys gel together first. And the thing about it is too, like, without there being a spring portal window, you don't really have to worry about losing any of these guys in the spring portal. You know, so now you got it done, and now all you have to do is just build on what you do in the spring, get it through the summer, and then when fall camp starts, man, just keep building on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, buddy. And you know, you mentioned Ty Buster there. Boy, if him or Jacoby Ward could take a big leap,
Yeah,
you know, that would be massive. And Ty Buster, I think he was a sleeper
yes,
of that last class, man. I think he was kind of up there in North Carolina, wasn't playing a lot of big schools and just kind of got overlooked. But his tape really popped, and the last staff was very high on him in terms of the way he was practicing. He just, you know, obviously a lot of veterans in front of him, and he was a first-year player. So I'm with you. And Ray makes a great point here too. He says everyone needs offensive line. No one gets an A if we overvalue O-line. Not that the O-line aren't valuable, but it's a rare commodity. And this is a great point that you make, Ray. And I said this ad nauseum throughout this entire portal process. Was like, we have to understand the situation that they're facing here. They have to completely rebuild an offensive line. To your point, Ray, when everybody needs an offensive line. So that's tough. I mean, they had to rebuild a two deep. Like it wasn't just, it wasn't just, we got to go get a couple of starting tackles or whatever. That's hard to do. It wasn't just, we got to get a starting guard. That's hard to do. It was, we had to go get a starter and a backup. We got to completely rebuild the room. So, and I think they did a good job. I mean, look, I'll learn these names as we talk more about them. But you got the young kid from Miami that didn't play much. You got the young kid from Ole Miss that didn't play much. And I made the comparison on previous shows saying, look, you had a plan for Brody Scholl. You had a plan for DeAndre Carter, tackle of the future, guard for the future. When those guys leave, you got to go get somebody to fill that role. So maybe this particular portal guy you get, he's not expected to come in right away. He's filling that role. He's the tackle of the future. He's next up in a couple of seasons, or maybe this guard is next up in a couple of years. So they had to completely rebuild that entire room on top of quarterback, wide receiver, and we're up to like 39, 40 portal entries at this point. So, yeah, man, all in all, when you look at the situation that they had in front of them, I think they did a good job. And before we get off of the offensive line here, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying that these kids aren't going to be good or that this line isn't going to work. To what Nick's point was, it's just questions. There's just questions. They could this scheme, Coach Hootie, like could be that guy. That's all to be determined. I'm not coming on here today and saying the O-line's going to be a problem. It's going to suck. No, it's not. You know, I'm not making that prediction at all. I'm not gonna make any predictions, to be truthful with you. Like, I think I'm out of the prediction business. It doesn't do anything but get people mad. People get sick. You know the little girl that does the NFL picks. You know, she's been on social media. She gets them all wrong. Which makes me think that whoever's recording it, I'll send it to you when we get done. Some of you all in the chat. It's a little girl, probably 5 or 6. She's been picking all the NFL playoff games, and she's got like every one of them wrong.
Okay.
Bro, like I saw an article. I'm just like 4, right? I saw an article saying like her family was getting death threats.
Really?
And I'll send it to you. I kind of had to chuckle because I was like, not that that's funny, but I'm like, oh yeah, trust me, people get serious about your predictions now. So some of the nastiest DMs I've ever got have been predicting Auburn to lose to Georgia. You motherfucker. How could you call yourself an Auburn fan? Like, people they
get upset.
The predictions now.
They get upset.
Yeah. Let's get in here, man, and get to some of these comments before we get on to the defense. Got a good crowd in here. Let us know in the chat. If you're watching on replay, let me know in the comment your grade for the offensive haul, and let us know why. Just to wrap it all up, Nick, I think they did a good job. And at the end of the day, you got a baller at quarterback. So a lot of issues can be masked when you got a baller at quarterback. Hey, maybe your tackle does miss the block. And then all of a sudden you've got a 6'5", 240-pound tank that can just take off that way, and it doesn't even matter. So, and we've seen that before at Auburn. So hopefully that'll be the case. And hopefully, you know, the offensive line all gels together and all that kind of stuff. It's really going to be, you're going to have to see a lot of that, man. Like you're really going to find out who some of the good position coaches are at some of these spots in this new era of college football. Who can put a team together on the fly and get production out of them?
Great talent evaluators. Who are those guys?
Who are those guys? This current system is going to expose them. We're going to see who can evaluate and who can develop. But it's also fascinating at the end of the day, man. The guy that's going to have the ball in his hands every single play, I'm over the moon about him.
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
think and I'm over the moon about the scheme and all that. So I think we're going to be okay. AU Sleeping Giants says huge win last night. Proud of the boys for sure. Keeping the basketball content at least for a couple more weeks, but just for our members only, simply because of views. I got a message the other day asking where's the basketball content, and I messaged the guy back a screenshot of my last public episode for basketball, and I said, "This is mine, but look at the views. only the members watch it anyway." So it's kind of it's one of the things where whatever y'all watch drives the content. If a bunch of people start watching basketball, we'll start doing basketball. But right now, people just want to hear this portal talk. But if you are interested in a reaction from Auburn's historic party like it's 1996, bro. Historic win over Florida. And we can tie this into football. Do you think let me ask you this, Nick. Do you think they waited to introduce Sumrall for Auburn? Because he's been there a minute. Yes, and they introduced Sumrall last night.
They did. It's a little petty.
Okay.
A little petty.
You think it was on purpose?
A little petty.
Keep it a little Tom Petty, as they would like to say there in Gainesville. Yeah.
That actually fit. That's good. That actually fit.
But hey, good. Congratulations, Florida. As they say, walk in your trap, take over your trap. Devin is here. Good morning, Devin. Always supporting the show. We appreciate you. Let's see. My guy, Travell, what's up, baby? Says 7 wins is what the team looks like on paper. And he's being generous. Well, look, I might be crazy here. And depending on how it plays out, TBD. But if Auburn went 7-5 next year, I wouldn't be
That's
furious.
An upgrade.
I'm about to say I would probably argue that that's the best in 5 years, and it could be trending up. And then what if they mess around and won the bowl game and finished 8-5? Would you take that today, Nick? Would you take 8-5? Yeah,
that's a winning season. That's a winning season. Here's the thing, man. Like, we can't be picky, man. We've been bad the past 5 years, man. We've been bad. Like, if we win 6 games and win the 7th in a bowl game, that's a winning season. That's a start. That's a start. And guess what? It matches what he did at USF.
Right.
7-6 his first year, if that happens.
Great point,
that tells you that he's trending in the direction of where it is going. And you showing and that would be showing proof of concept on the field when it gets to X's and O's. So my thing is, man, let's just win games next year. Like, we can get into the X's and O's of what this team can look like per team based on what other teams are doing. Like, if you're sitting here telling me Auburn versus Tennessee next year on the road at Tennessee, I would probably sit here right now and tell you, well, Tennessee may win that game. But then let's look at Tennessee and be like, well, Joey Aguilar is in a situation. They may have a new starting quarterback coming in. Who's going to be the other receiver? Chris Brazil, I don't think, is returning. They had 3 receivers that was in the top 15 in yards receiving for Tennessee last year. I don't believe all of those guys are coming back. You have a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball that have left, but you do got Aaron Carter coming back on the defensive side of the ball for Tennessee. Like, when we get into the nooks and cranny of it and we look at what it is matchup wise, my answer may be different. You know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of question marks. And I believe we did this on the show a couple of weeks back. And we just looked at the schedule. It was like, there are a lot of question marks about a lot of teams on Auburn's schedule and in the SEC as well of what it is, especially at the quarterback position. There isn't like a legitimate solid quarterback answer at any of these schools. Auburn has that. But right now, if we're just looking at it and we're not analyzing it in an in-depth view, yeah, you would probably say a lot of these teams will probably beat Auburn. But at that time, we can do that then, and then we can figure it out exactly what it is. But yeah, I mean, right now, if we go 6-6 and win the 7th game in a bowl game, man, I'm happy. That's a winning season because we haven't had a winning season. That's something that we can talk about instead of us sitting here in all season saying, "Oh, man, we could have won. We could have won that one game, and it could have got us to a bowl game. We could have had a winning season." Now we sitting here talking about we had a winning season. Let's. If we do get to 10 wins, 11 wins in year 1, wow, that's a plus. But let's just have a winning season first, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, we say this a lot here. I get it. We're Auburn fans. We know with the first 100+ years of this program has been, we got to kind of currently look at the situation as a whole. And we haven't had a winning season in 5 years. So a winning season would be a step up. And I'll continue to say that. I mean, it's January and we're talking about record. But I'll say this. Eye test is important in these discussions. What does it look like?
Yep.
If Auburn goes 7-5 next year, but we look at it as a total, and we say, hey, I think we got better.
Yep.
Then that's what I want.
Yep.
I want Auburn to start getting better.
Yep.
So apply eye test. Did you watch Auburn in that did you leave the South Alabama game this year thinking that Auburn was getting better in year 3 under its head coach? No, you didn't. You said, man, it feels like this is the same thing.
Yep.
You definitely felt that way after A&M. Like, hey, this is just the same thing on repeat. So throw the record out. Whatever. Can I watch it?
Exactly.
And eye test it and know that this program is getting better and know that this plan is getting better. Butch Fly says, hit that like button. Absolutely. Going to entertain a little bit of ridiculousness real quick, and then we will get back to the defensive. We'll give our defensive grades here, but some of this, I just can't ignore it, Nick. You know how I am.
Okay.
Penn State Sports Talk 247 says 7-5 is bad. 5-7 is worse, brother. And then he says, y'all got to aim for 9-3. They got to aim for 12-0.
Yeah.
They need to aim for 16-0.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would love 9-3, 10-2, 11-1. Like, I don't want to aim for 9-3. But I believe it's your first time coming here today, buddy. We have like realistic discussions and stuff. So, and also I have this crazy belief that sports talk shows play zero effect onto the game. So, and I know that's wild. I know some people think we got a lot of power, but me saying that Auburn should go 7-5 or 8-4 is not what the coaching staff. So, like, I have no effect on the field. So, and I have to do this a lot when I predict Auburn to lose. Well, I hope the team doesn't have that attitude. Yeah, me too, dumbass. Yeah.
I think that's what people fail to realize. Like, people fail to realize, like, bro, like, we say this stuff, but when the game happens, we want Auburn to win the game. Like,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
Come
like,
on, bro. So, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about with the y'all, but like, they got to aim, the staff and players and coaches, they got to aim for 12-0. As a fan, I can sit here and say 7-5, 8-4 would be the best season Auburn has had in 5 or 6 years, and the team would be getting better. But I would love 9-3. And lucky Mickey Mouse basketball win yesterday.
Oh my God.
So here's what I did. I Googled Penn State basketball. 0-8 in the Big Ten, 9-10 overall, and have lost 6 in a row.
Oh, man.
Respectfully, brother, I don't think you know what good basketball looks like if you've been watching Penn State. And it might be time for you just to tap on out of the basketball discussions, because I didn't even know y'all had a basketball program over there. So let's get back on track, because that was just 9-10. Hold on, bro. Auburn basketball went to the Final Four last year. It's currently what, 13-7?
13-7.
Top 25 in KenPom. Top 25 in KenPom. And you come in here a fan of a 9-10 basketball team, and you want to talk?
Get them.
Get out of here.
Get them.
Get out of here, brother. Hide your kids, everybody. Your Penn State fans in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, man.
Let's grade the defense. My goodness. Defensive grade. Nick, you gave it a C. Why?
I ain't gonna lie, man. You lost some talent. You lost some talent on the defensive side of the ball. You lost some. You lost But here's the thing, and I already know what the rebuttal is gonna be. Well, that talent only went 5-7 the past 2 seasons. Well, yeah, you're right. You're correct. But that's really not the main reason why I gave them that. Like, when you look at what they have done on the defense side of the ball, there hasn't been a lot there. You know, like, let's just go through the rooms. You look at the D-line room, which you have 3 guys signed right now on the D-line room. You have 1 linebacker signed, 2 edges, You brought in 4 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, and then you brought in an athlete that is trending to play safety or wide receiver in Scrap Richardson from Notre Dame. So compared to what you saw on the offensive side of the ball, you didn't bring in a lot of bodies there, especially in the interior part of the D-line where we were just talking about the line of scrimmage is where games are won. You know what I'm saying? That's where games are won. So, I mean, I like the addition of Cody Sigler. Don't get it twisted. I like that. I love that addition, man, because it's a 3 technique guy that we need. You also have a guy, Walter Mathis Jr., another guy that can come in and play that 3 tech. He can go between that 3 tech and that 0 tech as well. I am very high on Michael Matthews Canty. Linebacker, 6'3", I believe it's like 220, 225 from Hampton. If there are any Howard people in here, Hampton calls themselves the real HU. So shout out to Hampton and shout out to Howard. I'll shout out both of them. But a guy that has all the physical traits that can come in and play right away and be a, I'm not gonna say a starter, but can he get in the rotation and play? You know what I'm saying? And he has years of eligibility remaining as well. The edge room, man. The edge room. When you look at the edge room and the end room, that is where we're looking at. You're looking at Deshaun Womack, a guy that was at Ole Miss last year. When he flashes on tape, he flashes on tape. When he doesn't flash on tape, he is inconsistent sometimes. You look at Nate Johnson, a guy that did not do a lot last year at Missouri, but the years before that at Appalachian State, had like 76, 78 total tackles, 10 sacks in 2 seasons at Appalachian State. You go out in the cornerback room and you get Andre Jordan Jr., you go get Shamar Arnaud, you go get Kamari Ty, you go get Gavin Jenkins, you go get a lot of guys young guys that have a lot of time to play. So you got a lot of guys that can be here for the foreseeable future for a long time, especially when you only have Pleasant, Blake Woodby, and then you have a Devin Williams who's coming off an ACL injury from last season as well. Safety room, I don't even know what else they need to do in the safety room because there are a lot of people in the safety in the safety room that can come in and play. But I mean, just not a lot of bodies. You know, and then when you look at the line of scrimmage, man, the line of scrimmage part, yes, you have a Jordan Crawford. Yes, you have a Malik Autry in that room. But man, to go out and get a guy that has experience in college football that can come in and wreak havoc on the interior defensive line, having that guy, getting the guy that committed to Oregon. Antron Robinson, I believe is his name. If you could have gotten him in the fold, that would have been major. A guy that's played a lot of college football in North Carolina, having him in the fold and being a disruptive force there in the middle, man. Oh man, it would have been great, man. So I'm at a C because you just didn't see a lot of bodies come in with what Auburn lost as well on that side of the football, especially on the front line. So man, I have to give it a C there, man, because if you don't know, man, if you don't know me by now, line of scrimmage is very important to me in winning football games. Is crucial to a point. Did they do enough with what they have coming back and what they want to do potentially? But when you look at a team playing complementary football with an offense that's going to try to be as fast and run as many plays as they are as up tempo, got to have a defense that's going to have a lot of bodies that can play and bang on that side of the football as well. So do they have enough depth on that side to be able to rotate bodies in and out? So guys don't get hurt, or injured or fatigued throughout the season. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
I'm gonna start with a positive. Retention at the linebacker position. I love that. And whenever you have a coaching change, that's a big part of it. And I believe I've been told that people were trying to poach Elijah Melendez, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. And Xavier Atkins could have been a hot commodity if he would have hit that transfer portal. You look at guys like Eric Winters and Anquan Fagans, same thing. So you basically had to re-recruit that. And I struggled if I was going to put that in my grade, it would probably be a B- again. But I just decided on just like let's just keep it on with the new guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Hall. But I do want to give a shout out in terms of retention of those guys, and also I didn't want to go down this road today because I mean you've already talked for hours about this, but there was a culture aspect as well, to where losing your two starting outside corners, one
Yeah.
of them very productive,
Yeah.
the other one above
Questionable.
average. Yeah, above average. I mean, I get it. It's weird, you know.
I'm saying questionable. But
Yeah,
okay.
we've seen Kane Lee play good football, and then he definitely started getting targeted and had some
Mhm.
bad games as the season went on. So there's
Mhm.
a mixed bag there. Take the football out of it. From a culture standpoint, on that side of the ball, I think he got better
Okay.
by those two people no longer being on the roster. And
Wow.
we'll
Wow.
leave it at that. We'll leave it.
Okay.
At
Okay.
that. I think that was a unit that for the most part was lock and step and had a couple of bad eggs. Kind of bringing the culture down on that side. Not a whole lot because DJ's doing his thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just think it's addition by subtraction. And Jay Crawford's a great football player. He's
He
very
is.
good. You will never hear me
He
say a
is.
bad word about Jay Crawford, the football player. So you can kind of do your own assumptions of what I think about other stuff when I say that. I like to pick up getting the kid from Love from UCLA. I think that's a solid
Yeah.
pickup. It's going to stay in there. And yeah, man, kind of like what we talked about with Ty Buster and Jacoby Ward, like Blake Woodby. Loved his high school tape. Every college coach in the country did.
Mhm.
And is he ready? Is he ready to kind of step into that role and take the next step?
Mhm.
So I like the depth in the secondary, particularly the safety spot. I love it. You add Gaskins to that room,
Yep.
and he can kind of move around and do a lot. That's the thing too. There a lot of versatility, a lot of versatility, a lot of guys that can move around and do different positions back there.
Mhm.
So I like the secondary, and again, retention of Winners and Fagans is big time there. Sylvester Smith and those guys as well. Linebacker. I don't think you like. I like the addition that you talked about. If they wouldn't have touched it at all, which they basically didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wouldn't have been a problem.
and they didn't need to, right?
They
So
didn't have
like,
to.
yeah, so cool there. That's like you were good there. You had young guys and guys that have played a bunch of football. You're good to go in that spot. Really excited. I think DeMarcus Riddick's going to have a bounce back year.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I think that people are going to write him off, and I understand why. And I think that kid's a good football player, and he's going to show it this year. I think that injury really bothered him all year, and not to mention, like, it's a good problem to have when you had a young player show you flashes his freshman year, and
Mhm.
then the next group of young guys came in and just played really good to where you couldn't get them off the
Yep.
field. Like that's a
Yep.
good problem to have.
That's a good problem. That is a good problem.
I like where the linebacker room is.
And you got and you got some new young guys coming in, Jarquez Wilkes, Shadarius
Right.
Tootle, and
Yeah.
Adam
Tootle, yeah.
Balagona. Ali.
All-
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I would
No, you're
love
good,
to see. I would love to see Tootle. In my personal opinion, I would love to see Tootle on the field this year. Him and Jarquez Wilkes. I would love to see both of them on the field this year. But I would love to see them in a situation to where if Auburn does run a little bit more of a 4-2-5 defense, I would love to see them play at two levels of the defense, on the defensive line, on the edge, and at linebacker. I would love to see that. I would like to see exactly how that looks with those two guys specifically in those positions. I just want to throw that in there. My bad.
No, you're good, buddy. You're good. Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of forget about Tootle, or I have for the last couple of weeks, just because there's so much, 40 new portal players, and now you're trying to learn the names and the targets for the 2027 class because that board's kind of coming into shape.
Yep.
But yeah, man, Tootle, like adding him to that linebacker room, it's a deep room, but I feel like he's so good that he's going to find a way to get on the field. So really excited for that one. It's really the edge position for me, Nick. It's not even so much the interior. Like I have some questions really about the depth in the interior of the D line. But yeah, it's really about the edge, man. There's no proven production there. None.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's really high on the Womack kid from Ole Miss, but I see a lot of what you saw.
Inconsistent, man.
Yeah,
inconsistency.
I see flashes where it's like, oh, that's a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's times where you can't find him. So, and just looking at like statistical production, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of proven production in that room. So, kind of like the discussion that we had about offensive line, It's a big question mark. Now here's
here's the best.
Jared Smith.
I was just about to say that. Here's the best thing about it though. Jared Smith has the opportunity to flash on tape this year. And if we sitting here talking about how there is not a lot of production, now this is the opportunity for a guy like Joe Phillips. Keep saying Joe Phillips' name. Here's a guy like Joe Phillips or somebody to step up and be that guy moving forward, because Amaris Williams is gone. That's a guy that everybody thought would be one of the guys. Jamonta Waller is gone. He's not there no more. Spaces open up. This is your opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to come out and make a name for yourself and make some noise and help the defense win.
Yeah, I'm with you. So that's just kind of like I think of Malik Autry going to be good this year. Crawford, I think Jordan Crawford cracks the rotation and finally starts to get his reps. So yeah, I'm not too much worried about the interior of the D line. Now, if some of those guys get hurt, we're gonna have some conversation. But yeah, for me, man, it's really just about the edge and it just being unproven. So, again, I hope they prove it. I hope that they answer this question and we don't have to worry about it. But just as we're looking at it today, there's no proven production at that edge spot for me to look at. And then I don't necessarily like the fact that as we sit here today, so a lot could change. But I'm like, my two biggest concerns are edge rusher and if the offensive line will gel. That I'm like, ah. But to be fair to I think it was Ray's point earlier, how many teams are worried about that? How many teams out there have quality depth at the edge rusher position? How many teams out there have, like, we live in this Auburn bubble and we always worry about just Auburn's problems. And but these other teams have these problems too. What's Florida going to be? What's Ole Miss going to be? Look, LSU spent all the money.
They did.
They spent all the money. Okay.
They did.
Am I crazy? And now, if they would go 10-2, 11-1, wouldn't be shocked. Okay. Because it's a lot of talent with a great offensive coach. But am I crazy for just floating this out there? Maybe a toxic head coach, and you can't tell me otherwise. Maybe a toxic head coach in a toxic environment that is Baton Rouge. And I say that with love, okay? I've spent time on LSU's campus. I lived there for a little while. I love them.
Okay.
They're great people. It's a party. You're going to show up. You're going to show up. I hear you. You're going to show up. They're going to give you gumbo. And they're going to talk a little shit to you. It's okay. I got no issue with it. But I will acknowledge.
LSU fans spit at us. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, that's a little wild.
That is wild.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Hey, I say the worst experience I've ever had was with Coastal Carolina fans.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, wow. It's bad. But look, what I'm saying is that's an atmosphere there in Baton Rouge. It can get toxic fast.
It can
get toxic fast. Okay, they lose a game, they're ready to fire everybody. Much more so than just your normal SEC fandom. Like they go in. I think their baseball coach, they fire him after every baseball series. I go on their message boards. I'm just laughing. I'm like, you lost a series. Like, they'll go in. That place can get toxic. Okay. So what I'm saying, if you're an LSU fan listening, I wouldn't be surprised if y'all went 11-1. But I also wouldn't be surprised if toxic head coach, toxic kind of fan base atmosphere. I mean, the governor and all, like, remember, go back to what all was going on. Okay. All that's not all just magically solved. You got all of that, and you went and just dropped bags on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
As an Auburn fan, we can tell you, drop the bag culture doesn't necessarily lead to winning culture. So, although it all looks good on paper for LSU, the point I'm making here is they could go 7-5. We don't know. When we look at it, they'd be pissed all the money and resources they put in. But I really wouldn't be shocked, man. I really wouldn't be. The more and more football and just sports that I watch, it's like, man, those checks, they're just automatics. Don't they feel like they mess up a lot? You know what I'm saying? Like the ones you look at and you're like, there's no way this could fail. Aren't those the ones that a lot of time crumble and fail? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
think only one team has done well in that situation. Ohio State. They won a national championship. When they was like the top 3 paid roster in college football or something like that, and they got all those guys together and they won that championship. Other than that, it hasn't really panned out well. It's always been about kind of like building the culture and the team around that kind of fits what you want to do, man. So I don't know. It's we've been having this conversation about Signetti and has Signetti kind of, broken the veil of what college football has been. I don't know if it's broken. I just think that let's not get into that. We'll talk about that. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's not get into that.
We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah,
We got all off season.
Yeah.
I'll say this just real quick on that. I'm gonna stand by what I've been saying. I think right now in the portal era, there are multiple maps to success.
Mhm.
And so I think that you can do the Miami. Both teams deserve to be there. We left that game feeling like both teams deserve to be there, right? They built their teams in very different ways and put on a great showing, and somebody had to come out on top, and ultimately it was Indiana. But no one looked at that and said Miami didn't deserve to be there unless you're in South Bend. But everybody else, everybody else is like, hey, Miami did their thing. And those are two very different models as to how to build a program, and they both worked. So in my opinion, if you're looking at Signetti and you're saying this is the way to do it now, I would say it's a way to do it. Let's wrap up the portal grade here. Let's give an overall grade and an overall thought, and then I got like a dozen comments that I want to get to.
Okay.
Overall grade is going to be higher, and this might be a little bit ass backwards, but it's going to be higher than any of the individual grades I've given. I'm giving them a B+ overall, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because of the overall mess that they came into.
Okay.
They came into a mess on the football side of things,
Okay.
and they came into a mess on the NIL side of things.
That's a good point.
It is very easy
Good point.
for people that have grown up playing Madden, like myself, to just look at it and say, why can't you just make this trade or go get this guy and put these pieces together? It doesn't work. It's not that easy. These are real humans with real emotions. It's not just on paper. There's a lot that goes into all this. You've got uncle agents running wild, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on in this sport right now. To come into this situation at Auburn, where it was a toxic culture that, one, didn't know how to win, but two, once you do a little digging, you ask yourself, how much was it even concerned with winning? Probably not a lot. And then the actual football side of things as well. The actual X's and O's and putting together of the roster and finding the starting tackle and finding the starting corner and all of that. So when you take everything that this staff has done as a whole, I'm giving them a B+. I think they've got – am I going to sit here today and say that the culture at Auburn is fixed? No. But I tell you what, man. They got a lot of the problems out of there. They got a lot of the problems out. And I have a feeling, we've only known this staff for like 5 or 6 weeks, but I got a feeling like if any more problems arise, they're not going to put up with that either. I don't think flights to away games are going to be held up for NIL payments and such, right? So I think a lot of that crap, man, has got weeded out. And I got to give them a high grade for that. And then on terms of the football, I think when you look in totality, when you look at the whole situation that these guys faced, I think they've done a really good job. I give them a B+, and I say that, I don't even know what it would take to get an A. That you would have to just do something unreal and knock it out the park and all that kind of stuff. I think very highly of what they've done. I'm very impressed. And I will say this. Looking at how they've operated in this portal cycle, I'm very optimistic about what they're going to do next offseason in the portal cycle when they don't have to rebuild a team. When they don't have to completely rebuild a team. Instead of having to fill 40+ spots, what happens when they only have to fill 12 to 15? Then do they win some of those big battles, those big money battles for guards? Because now we got it. Now we got it.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to make sure we're saving because we got to build a whole roster out. And we had some people that didn't like our 7, saying we'd be okay with 7-5 of 30 minutes ago. again, look at this whole situation. Look at the whole situation of what this coaching staff and what the GM in Warsaw faced. I'm giving them a B plus, Nick. I think they've done a good job. I think they had a lot of stuff, football wise and non-football stuff, that they had to kind of get on top of, and I think they've done an excellent job of it so far. So I'm going B plus overall.
Yeah, I solid grade, man. I'm gonna still stick with the B. I'm gonna
Okay.
just stick with a B, man. I'm gonna stick with a B, taking everything that you just stated into consideration, what they had to deal with on the football side of things, of guys, and was there even really a concern of trying to win football games? When you said that, kind of just, I was like, hey, that's interesting. Like, was there really even a concern of trying to win football games? Taking that into, and then looking at the NIL part of it, of looking at exactly structured and things of that nature, and you sitting here saying, man, we got this is not what I thought it was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And then having to come in and restructure that, and then navigating that well. And then when that's fixed, and then now you bring in guys that, as Coach Golis has always been saying, want to be at Auburn, want to play for Auburn, and want to work for the team. Like, I'm always keep going back to the John Gruden that he's when he was at Wisconsin at the beginning of the year, when he's talking about the concept of the team. It's an old video. It was like the concept of the team. It was like, there's a rock there. If one man goes over there and try to chips that rock, it'll probably take him forever. He probably won't ever do it. But as a team, if we go over there and start beating on that rock together, more than likely we're gonna chip that rock away. So, I look at it and I say, man, just coming in, like, when we talk about resetting the culture, that's part of resetting the culture.
Yeah.
Coming in and restructuring that thing and setting the expectation of, this is how we're gonna do things. Like when Coach Golis came in and said, man, I want to be elite. You want to be elite at everything. I mean, you got to be elite at the NIL part. You got to be elite at, the way that you just, as he said, just walking in the building, how you talk to everybody, how you train, how you do everything. You got to be elite at it. So, I mean, just looking at what they did on the offensive side of the ball with, what they brought in at the running back position, the tight end position, of course, what they brought in at quarterback and at the quarterback room with the projection of what it could be for the future, and things and stuff of that nature. Looking at what they did on the defensive side of the ball, not a lot of bodies, but guys that can come in and help fill some of the holes that were vacated on the defensive side of the ball. I'm gonna give them a solid B, man. I'm gonna stay around that solid B range with what's happened so far in the portal. Maybe there's a guy out there that we look at, that Auburn's still looking at, that won't be a name that people will know for real. But when you add him and you see exactly what his skill set is and how he can help the team, he could probably be the X factor for the season next year. And I don't know. I don't know if that guy's still out there. I don't know if Auburn is still looking for, that guy or something like that. But could there be a person that Auburn is looking at, and he signs with Auburn, and we sitting there saying, exactly how that's gonna work and how that's gonna fit. So I'm excited. I'm excited for it, man. I applaud this staff for going out and mining the portal. I did a video on this a couple of weeks ago about mining the portal for talent and trying to be great evaluators with talent and trying to figure out and find guys that can fit what you want to do. And that's what they've done so far so well. Or they went out, identified guys they feel can fit what they need to do. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. So high grades overall coming from me and Nick. It can never be perfect, especially when you're rebuilding a team. And we don't know. We don't know. It's January 25th. We don't know. There's still spring football to go, and a whole lot of fall practice and all that. So we just out here guessing. Let's see. What's it? Big Sarge, Big Sage, something, I don't know.
Big Sarge.
Big Sarge. Okay, Big Sarge. I didn't see the R there. Both Indiana and Miami built their teams through the trenches. Miami, however, paid big money for their quarterback. Yeah, I mean, like in terms of when I said building their teams, they definitely. You're right, Big Sarge. They definitely said, "Wait, we're winning up front, and everything else will come from that." You're 100% correct on that. I was meaning more towards of like Miami. They spend big money on people. In Indiana and big time names. In Miami or Indiana more so goes towards the lesser heralded guys, the less decorated guys, but have the experience of putting them in there. So but yeah, you're right. They're both solid up front. And like Nick said earlier, all the way down to Pee Wee football. You ain't winning if you ain't blocking. So good
Exactly.
stuff, Big Sarge. Zachary Bowman says, Dustin, I'm about 20 minutes behind on the live. Is it really considered a miss if another school drops a bag while this coaching staff has made it clear they aren't paying up front like most places?
That's actually a good point.
It is a good point. I will say this. For me, I consider a miss. We want this person. We've circled it. Okay. We've circled this person. We want this person to come in and be our left guard. And if you don't get him there, whatever the reasons are, that's what I consider a miss. I understand the reasons, not even knocking the reasons, but just the semantics of whether it's a miss or not. That's the kind of way I view it.
Because if you circle somebody if you circle a prospect as this is a guy that we want, would you not try to do everything you can to try to get him?
Yeah, fair point.
I mean, that would be that would be my rebuttal to that. Like, if you consider this guy to be a can't miss prospect that you want to put on your football team that you believe can come in and help you win football games, he's can't miss. Not a guy that you are kind of like, all right, he's a developmental piece or a guy that can be a rotational guy. But this is a can't miss guy that you have evaluated and say he can help us win games and be a very prominent imperative piece to us winning. Like, would you not try to figure out a way to get that guy on the football field and not try to get him to leave?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Do you think, to that point, do you think there is anybody in college football or anybody that this particular staff views that way? Or do you think that this staff feels that, there are guys out there that are talented that would help us win games, but they're not a can't miss prospect. They're not a can't miss prospect just because everybody else is saying this guy's this. We look at it and say, I don't know. I mean, like that's an interesting question when you look at this, because part of that to me kind of feels like if they feel that way, they feel like they can win with anybody. They feel like they feel like they can develop, coach up, train, and get guys into their system to do what they want them to do in the system to win. And that's how I get it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a very interesting question. Without knowing the staff a lot yet, like I haven't really talked to anybody, on the staff, and they're all new. So without like really knowing a whole lot about them personally and kind of how they value all of this stuff, and we'll definitely get to know them more as they're here longer. That's just how that works. But man, I think that they definitely value. They could obviously identify and value high end talent. Like,
okay, true.
They did everything they could, and they offered a very big payday. Is it what he got at Texas? I don't know, but they offered a very big payday for Cam Coleman.
Yeah, they did,
and they did everything they could to keep him.
They did.
So, which tells me that like they viewed him as, whether it's can't miss or whatever, they certainly said that kid's different. That kid's elite. We're willing to pay top dollar to keep him here. Or now, it didn't work out, but now how many of those guys are there? There's certainly I'll say this, Nick. The last staff had a lot of can't misses. They had a lot. We got to get that guy. We got to get that guy. We got to get that guy, and we'll pay whatever we got. I don't know if there's. They definitely have less. I feel comfortable saying they have less. They definitely don't view it the exact same way the last staff did. Mm-hmm. There's a lot less can't misses. We've seen already. They'll walk if the price gets too high.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna leave.
$2.5 million for an interior offensive lineman, but we offered you 1.5. We're out of here. We can't go no higher. So they definitely have a different strategy, and they definitely do not have. It's not. I feel like with the previous staff, everybody was a can't miss. If he was a big recruit, we got to do what it takes. And I've said before, that's not even necessarily a shot at the previous staff. I can understand arriving at that conclusion. I can understand why you get there where you're just like, let's just pay the money, man. I get how that could happen. I also understand now why this new staff comes in and says that's led to all kind of problems, and it's just not a smart way to build your program anyway. Mm-hmm. I'll say this, Nick. I think the staff is really high. Like, I think they believe in themselves a lot. Like I think they feel like we can put in the pieces here and make this damn thing work.
That's the point I was getting at. You know, like if they believe in themselves that much, I don't know if you want to call that hubris or not, but if they believe in themselves that much, they feel like, all right, our evaluation talent, our talent of evaluating and identifying talent is just as good as a 4 or 5 star being rated or whatever you want to call it by this recruiting service. So we feel as if we can go out and find a guy that hasn't been highly touted or highly rated through these recruiting services or even the transfer portal ranking, we feel like if we can go out and if we can evaluate this guy, nobody else is evaluating because other people are just looking at a star rating, but we're actually watching tape and we believe in our ability to identify guys that can come in and help us do what we need to do at this particular position to help us win games. That's what I was trying to get at. I believe this staff believes in themselves very, 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 very highly. I do. That's just my thought process.
And here is where that'll all get interesting. The last two, we'll say staffs. The last two staffs at Auburn, I think I would define as stubborn.
Okay. Okay.
If Alex, we don't know yet. He hasn't coached a game. I'm interested to see, and by all accounts, I've talked to somebody that covered him at South Florida, a beat writer from South Florida. I kind of had this discussion with him a little bit, but like we still got to see at Auburn, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But is he able to realize, and the way that Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri realized, I'm doing some things right, I'm doing some things wrong, I need to course correct a little bit, pivot, because Eli came in Missouri I call the plays.
Yeah, they were.
I call the plays.
They were bad,
and it wasn't working.
It was not.
He switched it up, and now they're winning 8, 9, 10 games a season. Like, obviously, it was the right move. That'll be the big thing for me is I love Alex Golish's confidence. I love how much him and the staff believe in themselves. They won't be perfect.
Agree.
When they make a mistake, when something they thought that was going to work doesn't work, do they pivot from it quick enough? Do they recognize the error of their ways and pivot from it quick enough? Because adaptability is the name of the game in college football. The ones you survive if you can adapt. You survive if you can identify your mistakes. They call it the self-scout. If you can self-scout, see what the holes in your program and fix them. So, yeah, Nick, I think they're really high on themselves, and I think they should be. It won't all be perfect. How quick do they realize where they were wrong, what areas they were wrong, and are they going to be like the previous two coaches who are just stubborn and put their nose down and keep going forward, or will they course correct? That's to be determined. By all accounts, I think Alex Golish is a flexible guy. I think that he's one of those guys that kind of puts the people around him in charge and empowers them to do their thing.
Yeah.
So those kind of things tell me that he is willing to hear other ideas and pivot and all that. But that's a hard balance, right? That's a hard balance to line of I'm a hard ass and we're doing things my way, but also you have a good idea and maybe I did my idea. What's the best? Let's pivot. So really, we don't have the answers to that today, but it will be fascinating to see how it all plays out. Our guy Ant is in here. Ant the Insider, War Damn Eagle. What's up?
Shout out to Ant the Insider, man.
Guy. Brett says, I don't know how much worried about some of these defensive players leaving. DJ was in on the evals, and I'm sure he signed off on the ones went to the portal or were told to take less. 100%, Brett. And this is the one thing I've said too about the defensive side of the ball is the good thing about that is I'm gonna trust DJ Durkin.
Yeah.
I'm just going to trust him because he's earned our trust as Auburn's defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So, I think that he's going to put a good product on the field. So, whoever the bodies are, I think that DJ Durkin is going to put a good product on the field. And to your point, Brett, he knows. Hey, I'm sure DJ Durkin knows that Jay Crawford was a good corner. That's not breaking news to him. But also, Auburn didn't put up much of a fight in that one. I'm just going to be honest. And I think there's reasons for that. And I think DJ Durkin is well aware of those reasons, to your point, Brett. Fly says, come on, guys, hit that like button. Dustin deserves it just for the Penn State shoulder. Listen, dude. I am a scoreboard guy. People want me to troll Bama and all this kind of stuff, and I say, well, I will. If we beat them in football, I will. Oh, trust me, I will when that day comes. But I'm a scoreboard guy. Respectfully, And the Penn State guy didn't come in here throwing darts about them beating us in football a couple years ago.
Nah.
Which if he did, I would say, all right, man, like you called us with y'all got to play Harsin twice. So like whatever. Would love to see y'all in a couple years in a rematch. Also, though, what did Penn State finish in football this year? 7-6. 7-6. Okay, buddy, y'all didn't light the world on fire. But he came in here talking about basketball. Penn State and Auburn basketball, like, come on. These are not even those things are not even comparable. So yeah, we can't tolerate that. We can't tolerate that. Look, if a Michigan basketball fan came in here and said we ran Auburn off the court, I would say, yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
If a Penn State fan was to come in here and start throwing shade at Auburn basketball, respectfully, brother, you're 0-8 in the Big Ten. Shut. Like that was weird. That was weird. Very, very weird. We won't put up with that. We will not put up with that. Alex says, I want to get back at Penn State so bad in football. Brother, I want New Mexico State. I want Cal. Man. Yeah, there's a lot of get back needed. There's a lot. I still want Florida State. But Penn State is on that list. And again, unfortunately, New Mexico State's on that list somehow. Devin says, well said, Dustin. I know Devin always loves it when we give the trolls the business. Yeah, a lot of y'all are fans. We're not gonna put up with a Penn State basketball fan throwing darts at Auburn basketball. Like, have they ever been to the dance? Honestly. Brett says AG got 17 running backs, 13 tight ends. Seems like he's bound and determined to run the football.
Yes.
He said he was going to. Yes, he's going to run the freaking football. That's the quote. And some people say stuff and then build a team in a different manner. We've seen that recently. He's building the team like a guy that wants to run the football.
Yes.
Like when we added that running back the other day, I was like,
it's needed. It was needed.
Okay. That was my question. I was like, did we need this? And then I said, well, if he's going to run the football like he says he is.
It's needed, man.
A lot of plays, man. This offense runs a lot of plays, and I love that too.
Talking about like 75, 80 plays a game.
Yeah, it's great. It's crazy. I mean, when you look at the receiver production, there's so many guys that got like 30 catches, 350 yards. You know, it's like a whole bundle of those. It's like everybody's eating a little bit.
Yep.
LeVar says Auburn better start tampering. Just kidding. New to the show. Roll Tide fan. Just love college football. Auburn was doing some tampering.
Everybody doing tampering.
Hey, listen. The only person that might not that for real might not be tampering is my dog Dabo Sweeney. And look, listen,
man, Dabo better get with the time, man.
I know, but he was the only when he went off yesterday. I said, you know what? You're the one guy that can actually do this, bro. I will give him that. He is the one person that's actually following the rules. And is actually like. Yeah, man, Dabo. I feel like I feel Dabo. I feel Dabo so much, dude. Dabo is what I would be. I would be doing the same thing if I was Dabo. If I was previously a coach in the old system, and now I would be the same guy, just going, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I get it, dude. I get it. But if you still want this job, you gotta tap in. You gotta play the game. All that being said, I'm not condoning the way that Ole Miss went about all of that. We'll discuss. I'll tie that in to a discussion we're going to have here in just a second.
Okay.
Rodney says offensive line is backbone of the offense. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
James Taylor Studio 28 says, I don't think it's as poor as you two make it grade wise, but you both are uneducated. Aren't you currently in college, Nick?
Man, yeah, man. I got a bachelor's degree, man. Be finished with this master's degree in December, as a matter of fact. My thesis, I got a thesis proposal that starts in May. So we'll start doing the thesis research end of July, going into August, and once I defend it, hopefully we get a successful defense. And yeah, man, we'll have a master's degree at that point in time, Mr. Taylor. So I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, uneducated, but all right, my guy.
Your overall grade was what, a B? for the
Yeah,
portal hole,
yeah,
and
yeah.
mine was a B plus. So
Yeah.
according to James Taylor, it has to be an A, or
I guess
otherwise,
so.
yeah,
I guess so,
otherwise, we don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, James. I mean, look, I don't have the bachelor's degrees and all that my guy Nick had. I'm just a stupid guy that built a show from the ground up and is successful. So whatever, bud.
That
Yeah.
comment, bro. Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand that comment, Mr. Taylor. Mr.
yeah.
Taylor, I don't understand that comment, but okay.
Yeah, good stuff. So look, I had a question. I'm gonna botch his name. Help me out. The kid that just joined Alabama's basketball team. What's his last name?
Bediako.
Bediako. Okay, Charles Bediako played last night for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I got some questions. I'm addressing this because multiple people hit me up on X and asked me to talk about this. Some people were asking me if I could do a whole episode on it. We're not going to do that because I'm not going to give them that time. But I'll say this, and I'm not even going to make this an Auburn versus Bama thing because it's about Alabama and because I got an AU on my chest and because there's Auburn stuff behind me. There's no way people are not going to see this and not view it as biased. So I'm going to zoom out and go big picture here.
Okay.
From the college sports in general. And if you don't know, kid entered the draft, played in the G League, all this kind of stuff, right? I think he entered the draft and didn't get drafted, correct?
That's true.
And then so he signs with the G League team, and he's played some games in the G League, which, if you don't know, is the minor leagues of the NBA. Unprecedented to let us this has never happened before. Having somebody that's gone on and played any kind of professional ball in the state, they're going to say, well, what about overseas, blah, blah, blah. No one's ever played in the G League and then returned to the NBA or to college basketball. It's definitely something brand new, never seen. A lot of coaches have been outspoken about their issues with it. A lot of fans, obviously, that pretty much everybody outside of Tuscaloosa has an issue with this.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes.
I'm going to be, look, it all goes back to everything I've said before about portal discussions and the current state of college sports. You don't have anybody in charge.
No.
There's nobody to say no. There's nobody to come in here and say, no, you can't do that. There's no leadership.
None.
And you can see sports crumble with bad leadership or no leadership at all. Do you know why the NFL continues to thrive? They have good leadership. Do I like everything Roger Goodell has ever done? Of course not. But overall, man, you can't say that the game is falling, the NFL has fallen apart under him. It hasn't. It's, in a lot of ways, it's continued to grow.
Revenue says so.
Yeah. Like, so, all right. Now, flip that over to the NBA. David Stern handed Adam Silver a perfect product on a golden platter. And Adam Silver said, I don't want anything to do with that. He's terrible. He's the worst commissioner I've ever seen. He's awful. I haven't watched an NBA game in 5 years. His product is so bad. He's so bad at his job. I would love to watch the NBA again. I used to have League Pass. I used to be that guy. And I was a Kobe guy, so I was up to 1 a.m. watching the West Coast games, okay? Like, I used to be tapped into the NBA. Adam Silver, he gets in there, and, man, over time, it's not the same sport. And I'm like, this is a 3-point contest with some free throws mixed in between. I have no interest in watching this garbage. Not to mention all of the other stuff that he's done. NASCAR, second most popular sport in America at one point, mid-2000s, 2003, 2004. In terms of ratings, attendance, revenue, all that. Only behind the NFL. It might be behind pickleball at this point. Terrible leadership.
Not pickleball.
I saw pickleball on ESPN the other day. I didn't see racing.
Oh, hell, man.
I saw skee ball. I saw skee ball on ESPN.
The actual shooting sport, skee ball? Wow, bro.
No, like.
Oh, wow. For real?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's a sport?
Yeah. Apparently it hit on ESPN News. Hell, yesterday when the Auburn basketball game went because it started on ESPN News because ESPN has no idea how to bracket basketball games. It started on ESPN News, and then when the game that was on ESPN ended, it went on ESPN like it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it ended, it was a pop shot competition. The little free throw game at the arcade.
Yep.
That's what came on. It came after the commercial break, and that was going on. I had to flip it over to ESPN.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so the point I'm making here is no NASCAR, though. No NASCAR to be found. How far have they fallen? Baseball, you will see a lockout next year in Major League Baseball.
You think so?
Yes. Bad commissioner, bad leader. Yeah, bad commissioner, bad leadership, man. So, like, you can see now, NHL, everything about the NHL growing on the up and up. And if there's some hockey fans that are probably screaming in the comments, well, I don't like this that Gary Bettman's dead. I hear you. But overall, because I don't like everything he's done either, overall, that game is growing. Overall, go back to like the Four Nations face-off last year, NHL is definitely taking off. The ratings are up, attendance is up, revenue's up, salary cap is about to take a massive leap in the NHL this offseason because of their outside revenue. He's doing a good job growing the sport. So I've laid out all the examples of major pro sports in America right now. Look at the UFC compared to boxing. They got Dana White. They got Dana White to set up the best fights. The champion facing the challenger. Meanwhile, in boxing, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao run around ducking each other till they're past their prime, and then they charge us $100 for a bullshit fight. Mm-hmm. No leadership. There's no commissioner of boxing. There's no leadership. It's very much like college football. Mm. All these promoters are out for themselves. All these ADs and conference people are out for themselves. SEC battling with the Big Ten on every little thing. We want the playoffs this way. We want the playoffs that way. I know I'm dancing all around this exact situation. What I'm saying is there's no leadership in college sports, man. None. So at the end of the day, here's what I would say to Auburn. Go get Sharif Cooper. Bring him back. I think Jared Harper left his junior year.
He did.
Go get him. Go get him and bring him back. Yep. There's no rules. Is what Alabama did silly? Yes. Nick tweeted when it happened, it's a slippery slope. He's 100% right. You're opening up Pandora's box here, and it's terrible. Yeah. But I'm not surprised, and I'm not even outraged anymore. College sports is an absolute clown show. You will continue to see nonsense like this until it's not allowed, until there's some kind of a disciplinary action. Who's going to discipline Alabama? Who is going to tell Alabama no? The tournament committee? Are they going to say, nope, you don't qualify for our tournament? Like, they're not going to do that. The NCAA has no teeth. They can't. They're just. I don't even know what they are. Every time I hear those four words put together, I'm like, that's still a thing.
Yeah,
they're still technically in charge here.
No,
so look, the situation is goofy. It's ridiculous. It's not what college sports is to be about. It's just another thing that's going to continue to turn fans off.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate it, but it's also a much bigger issue, and I will continue to always end when I have these discussions. I will end it by saying what I've always said on this topic. In 2010, there was 15 to 20,000 blue Cam Newton jerseys in Jordan-Hare Stadium for home games.
Yep.
But they didn't put Newton on the back and give him his cut because he was an amateur student athlete. Matter of fact, Auburn fans didn't even get to enjoy the second half of that season because there was this whole rumor about he got paid $180K. And everyone knows that if Cam Newton was on today's day and age, he would be getting $3 to $4 million from Auburn, much less $180K if that even happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the lack of foresight is why we're here. The NCAA in the early 2000s was suspending players for getting free tattoos. They were suspending. I remember there was a kicker for a small school, maybe in the MAC or something, but he had a YouTube channel. And he was deemed ineligible for the couple $100 he made off of his YouTube channel every month.
Destroying. That's his name.
Their lack of foresight, their lack of understanding what was coming in the future is why we're here today. This all could have been avoided. But whenever they kept fighting this battle in court, they had no way they were ever going to win. And I'm sure they had legal people telling them, y'all aren't going to win this battle.
Yep.
But they were stubborn. They went head first and fought it. Then when they lost all their teeth, they said, you know what? NIL. They say, okay, now it's legal. No rules, no guardrails, no guidelines. That's how you have a player playing in the G League come back to his college team.
Yep.
And don't let Alabama gaslight you and say he's pursuing his academic. Shut up. One thing I refuse to listen to is academics. I don't want to ever hear about academics again in college sports. I don't want to hear about we didn't have his degree. Shut up. All that stuff is this is the minor leagues.
Basically.
Stop talking about education to me in terms of college athletes, right? I don't want to hear it. If they want, like, if the Elijah McAllisters of the world,
yep,
right, like you do have those guys. So I'm not taking shots. I'm not taking shots at those guys. But like, as a whole, I ain't trying to hear all that. It's a terrible situation. It's a very slippery slope, and it's only even happening. It's only being allowed because the people that are running college sports are looking out for themselves, their conference, their schools, and their pocketbooks. Trust me when I tell you this. These people do not care about you, the fan. They do not care about the athlete. They dress it up like they do. They don't. And Nick can tell you they never have. Okay. And so that it's all just a bunch of nonsense. It's ludicrous, and it could have completely been avoided, but we're here now. And to some extent, like, I think the stuff that Nate Oates is saying is gaslighting and ridiculous, but like at the same time, okay.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Who's here? Who's here to tell him no, bro?
Exactly.
Who's here to tell him no?
Exactly. Nobody.
So I guess my bigger thing here, Nick, before I pass it to you, is just I'm frustrated with the system. It all could have been avoided. It's such a massive mess. It's such a bigger problem than just what happened at Alabama. But don't be surprised if you see more of it. And that's just kind of my thought on it. And college sports has to get cleaned up.
Oh yeah, it does. Definitely does, man. There's you said everything. You said everything, Dustin. There's nothing for me to come behind there and say because you said it. You said it. I mean, if I were to say anything, I'd just be regurgitating and reiterating what you said. It's nothing else. It literally is just a system with no true leader, or at least no system of rules that people are willing to follow because of the threat of litigation. You know, like there may be some rules there, but guys are like, well, I can just go to this court right here in this state, in this court right here, file an injunction in this court, and they're gonna side with me anyway, because more than likely the judge is a booster of that school or supports that school. So it really doesn't matter, you know. So I was watching something one day and somebody said somebody was like, they was like, if you were Nate Oates, would you allow Bediako to come back with the threat that the NCAA can come back and vacate all of those wins? And I was sitting there asking the question. I was like, but we saw it happen if he does win it. It's the same thing with like the USC stuff. Like when people go back and they vacate USC's wins, or they go back and like vacate Reggie Bush not having the Heisman Trophy. I was like, but I saw the season and he was clearly the best player on the team, and I saw him win the Heisman Trophy. How can you just take that out of my mind? Like it's weird. Yeah, you're right. We are in the wild, wild west of college football, college sports. Is starting to leak over into college basketball, because I thought the NCAA has some sort of a handle on college basketball in some sort of way because of the tournament and how that worked. But man, it's starting to get to where this is a dangerous precedent that's being set by letting this guy come back after signing a G League contract, a professional G League contract, by the way. And now he's able to come back just because he has eligibility. What if, and this is just a very, very what if there's a guy who leaves school early because a agent says you have the opportunity to go in the top 3 rounds, but he gets drafted in the 5th round. He gets drafted in the 5th round. He makes the team the first year. He gets cut the second year. Now he looks at it and says, man, I got drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft. I got cut. Bro, I can go back to college because I have a year of eligibility left, and I can make $3-4 million depending on what my position is.
Right.
It's a very dangerous precedent that's being set, man. And don't be surprised if somebody tries it next year. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries it within the next year or two. Like you'll see it happening. We'll be sitting here on the shows talking about it, being like, "We told you this was gonna happen." Remember Betty Yako at Alabama? Remember that? It's coming, man. Until they get a set of standards and a set of rules and a set of regulations. See, everybody hates the word regulations until somebody that they don't like breaks a rule that they don't like.
Right.
You know, that's what it is. Everybody hates the word regulations until. Just got to get a framework of rules around that everybody can agree to, man. And that's what the NCAA was supposed to be, but it's not.
Yeah. And look, to be fair to like Greg Sankey, if you go back, rewind, get a little time capsule here, go back to SEC Media Days in the summer. If you remember, there was the whole revenue share conversation. And Auburn was not spending money on recruits. And I can tell you about one recruitment in particular, locally here with me, that Auburn was involved in. I spoke with a source close to the player, the high school player. They told me, coming off his OV, hey, it's up for Auburn. He loved it. A couple weeks go by. I start seeing him trending to other schools. I call my source. I'm like, hey, he said, yeah, Auburn offered about $100,000 less.
Wow.
Then I said, oh, okay. So now I bring that up to say, going back, that was that whole conversation. Auburn felt like they were following the rules and other teams weren't. So that was the backdrop of what was going on at SEC Media Days. You had teams like Georgia and Bama that were just signing big classes, and we were all looking at it going, that has to be over 20 million. What's happening here? Are we following different rules? Mike G sat down with Greg Sankey. I was standing right there. And the interview's somewhere up on the War Report still. You can go watch it. Mike G asked Greg, how frustrating is it that all these schools, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but all these schools came to you wanting rules and regulation. You put them in place and no one's following it. You ever seen somebody that you know they really want to say something, but they can't say it?
Yeah. Well, I wish I could tell
you. He wanted to start naming names.
Yep.
Okay. But he said, yeah, Mike, it's frustrating because these same schools came to me and wanted these rules. I put them in place for the conference, and now those same exact people are breaking those rules. So what do you want me to do? It's messed up, man. There's
nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Phil says, I was in school during that time. If Cam got $180K, he sure didn't act like it. He rode around Auburn on a scooter.
I remember that.
He said it. I saw him say somewhere, he said, an interview or something, Cam said, me and my family couldn't hide $180K.
Yeah. No.
So, and look,
Auburn, you can't.
Yeah, and even if they did, that's a bargain. That's an all-time bargain. So who cares? And I can tell you, I can confirm, I can tell you 100% because I know 100% fact. At that exact same season, there were players on Alabama's roster that received financial payments.
Oh yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, easy
because I know the people. Jimmy says, "What would you have made a grade in A+ though?" Asking, what would it have taken for us to give an A+? If Golish would have gotten all senior linemen, we would be in a way worse position next season looking for offensive linemen. Well, they layered the depth pretty well. I mean, they definitely signed a couple of guys that only have a year of eligibility remaining. So it's not that. It's for me, it's they went after some guy, like several guys really on the interior, and they didn't get them, which is like, I don't have to know their board. I can look at this is a target, this is a target, this is a target, this is a target, and they didn't get those guys. So I know that they didn't get what they were exactly pursuing. And like I'll tell you this too, Jimmy. An A+, like to get, I don't know. I probably will never give that out because we don't know. In the same way that I'll probably never give out an F.
Exactly.
In terms of projection, because there's that unknown. So I think they did good. I think they did almost as well as they could.
And the thing about alignment too, I can't remember who it was that said it earlier. You know, getting like quality offensive lineman in the portal is a rare commodity because a lot of those guys are just not leaving schools anyway.
Yep.
So, you know, and the reason why I said it was because it takes a long time for an offensive line to gel, and the fact that this will be an all new starting offensive line for Auburn next year. You know, from center, guard, tackle, this will be the first time all of them as a collective will be playing together as one. So trying to see how that gel will take a long time. Now, like I stated earlier, if this was an offensive line that was returning, you know, if you had the whole offensive line returning, probably be a different answer. But or even if it was a whole offensive line returning, but you only had to replace one person or so on that line, it'll probably be a different answer. But every single piece, man.
Yeah. It's quite a task, Nick. It's quite
at least last year, you had that interior of the offensive line that you knew was going to be back. You had Connor Lew, Dylan Wade, Jeremiah Wright. You knew what the interior was. All you had to do was just replace the two tackles. But then you still even got Xavier Miller back. You know, you went, I got Mason Murphy, and you got the number one tackle in the portal and Xavier Chaplin. So you looking at that, and you can kind of have a better understanding of saying, all right, well, this offensive line should be one of the top offensive lines in the conference. Well, it didn't pan out that way, as we saw. But yeah, I mean, like this year, man, we don't know, especially with these guys not playing together at all.
Yeah, for sure. Brett says, I'm with you on the NHL, getting ready to take my trip to Dallas. He is a big Dallas Stars fan. Listen, some of us, man, we just like sports. I love competition. I'm going to watch some kind of competition. I need a winner. I need a loser. That's how I'm entertained. You better have your league running smoothly, man. Like, or I can't. It got to be a little action too, Nick. It got to be a little something. It got to be a little something. Yeah, I prefer the fast pace of the NHL and the fighting and all that. Highly entertaining.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, Brett, and this is a discussion that me and Brett have had before, where it's, you know what? I've taken money that I was previously would have spent on going to Auburn games. It's going towards the NHL right now. Just telling you, I'm not tapped out as a college fan. I'm not. But my first choice of the sports entertainment money that I'm spending is not going towards college. Let's see. We got a few more comments here. Nick, you still with us, buddy? Nick's froze. Maybe I'm froze. Devin says the worst thing that could happen to Bama was for them to lose, but it's really the best thing for everyone else. Yeah, 100%. Let's go ahead and see if Nick can get back in here with us real quick. Let's see. Lawrence. Oh, I have a star one. My bad. Got thrown off here. Devin says the worst thing that could have happened to Bama was for them to lose, but it's really the best thing for everyone else. Yeah, I'm with you, Devin. It's kind of funny that they lost. Honestly, it's kind of funny that they lost that game. All that ruckus, all that fuss, and they still end up losing anyway. Let's see. Peasy says, don't count out the O-line guys from USF. They both play with a nasty attitude that's going to spread across the line. Well, yeah, for sure. Not counting them out, man. Really interested to see how that offensive line is going to form. Yeah, but those guys know the system. They've played a lot of football as well. So, yeah, big-time additions. Big Sarge says, nobody is going to follow the rules anymore when the people in the highest office of the country don't abide by the rules. Brother, respectfully, the government has been corrupt my entire life. Very corrupt. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And college sport hasn't always been this bad. So I'm not sure how those things correlate before, because the previous people in the position that you speak of have been super corrupt, and college sports was fine at that time. So I'm not sure if I understand the correlation between the United States government, which has always been a mess, and college sports. But listen, thank you guys for watching the video. Like that video, subscribe to the channel today. Tap in over on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your audio. Leave a 5-star review over there. Hell, I'm uploading videos over there now. They got videos on Spotify now, so we're over there also. Tap in over there. If that's where you get your content, leave those reviews. Turn on the iMac downloads. Follow Nick over at the Water Cooler Talk podcast. He will be at the Senior Bowl this week, as will I. I won't be there every day. I will definitely be there for media days and a couple other days as well. Won't be there tomorrow or Tuesday, but definitely will be there for media days and some days after that. So stay on the lookout. Senior Bowl content coming out for you guys. If you are a member and you did not catch our live stream last night reacting to the basketball game, there was a lot of discussion about Auburn's big basketball win earlier. Go ahead, tap in, man. Go watch that. And I will have some more film breakdowns on the way for you guys this week on top of the Senior Bowl content and all that. So level up, sign up for those memberships today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Ward Amigo, baby. I'm out.